and I am the founder and executive director of the Strivers Network. The Strivers Network is an internationally recognized youth-led social venture working to empower Sri Lanka's underserved high achievers to attain upward social mobility through a world-leading post-secondary education. We do this by conducting island-wide outreach, providing zero-cost high-touch mentorship, catalyzing community leadership, and mobilizing youth-led advocacy. Um, and you're watching Striver Chats. Striver Chats is an initiative by TSN to highlight the human stories behind our success stories that make up our community. So as for the fourth episode, we have Suveen Elavala. He's tuning in from San Francisco, but he's currently a student at the National University of Singapore. We went to the same school together, and I've been really excited to have a conversation with you, Suveen. Welcome.
Yeah, thanks, Ravi.
So why don't we get started with a very basic intro about where you are right now, what you're up to. Yeah.
Yep. So like you said, I'm currently based in San Francisco. I came here for a year-long internship slash study program. So I'm spending my third year here, and I originally study computer engineering at National University of Singapore, NUS. And yeah, so here it's been like 8 months already. And last semester I took a module at Stanford. It's like entrepreneurship related. So I was a student there. Then I also work full time for a startup here. So getting the Silicon Valley startup experience here.
Nice. Was that course, the module that you took, was it part of the Stanford Graduate Business School, or which
It
was it
was
part of?
MS&E, it's Management
Oh,
Sciences
nice.
and
Yeah,
Engineering. It
that's
was
unique
a
to
entrepreneurship.
Stanford.
Yeah, it was an entrepreneurship related module. So they have like guest speakers. Yeah, I think I prefer the Stanford style of teaching in a way, but it's not an apples to apple comparison because in US
Yeah.
I mostly took like technical modules, but here the teaching style I like, but yeah, I can't really say which one's better.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, you're right in saying that it's really hard to compare because it's like different philosophies. So it's kind of fundamentally different how they approach education, right? Like
Yeah.
I was just like reading a bit more about like liberal. I actually did a course in like, and we studied the liberal arts system and why we have it in America, and it was really interesting. But yeah, it's super cool stuff. I can't wait to like explore more. But let's backtrack a bit and let's talk about your schooling experience. What kind of like interests you had? Did you like have any challenges like on the way?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, like you said, like I also went to Royal College. So, but that was after grade five. Before that, I studied in two schools, like Ambalangoda Dharmashoka College, then Nalanda College, Colombo. After grade five scholarship, I moved to Royal. Um, I think I was really focused on studies a lot. Uh, but I also had like I was playing chess competitively. Maybe at my peak, I was like top 100 in the country, like age group without age groups, and we won a few national championships. I also did quizzing, and quizzing wise, our team we won a somewhat big TV competition called Pentathlon. This series of Pentathlon. That was like one of the highlights. Uh, yeah, school wise, I think I was like really focused on on studies. I was like going on the traditional path, like most of the Sri Lankans are going. You just study, you try to do your A-levels better, then you try to like go to a state university. That was like my main path back then. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, no, when like as soon as you said pentathlon, like it was like so many memories, oddly enough, because I used to watch it a lot.
I see.
And I wonder if it's still like a thing. Is it like does it still run?
No, I think they stopped after like maybe 3 seasons. Yeah.
Oh man. That was
Yeah.
like that was like the equivalent of like so many like big competitions in America, for example. So,
Yeah, yeah.
but yeah, anyway. So you mentioned that you had a very academic focus. And like I mean, based on my experience, like Royal it's hard to kind of it's hard to say, but you need to make an effort at Royal to kind of be part of the community, because I saw so many classmates who were like 100% focused on academics, and they like unfortunately didn't get out of like Royal like what like one should. But so how did you kind of balance like this need to be academically competent, but also have other, like you mentioned, chess and quizzing?
Yeah. I think it just I started playing chess when I was like very young, and I just continued my interest. Like I didn't really put in put any like effort intentionally try to be a part of the community. I think then you along the way you had like junior prefectship, then you meet like people doing like different extracurriculars. Then you have the senior prefectship after school, after you finish your A-levels. Yeah, I think I didn't really put any intentional like commitment towards like being part of the community, but yeah, it just randomly happened when you do like extracurriculars. You meet other people in like captains meetings. You just like meet people randomly.
Nice. And so you finished your A levels and you're like waiting for results. I'm not sure if you, but like tell the viewers about like how you came across TSN and what
Definitely.
the sort of selection process was like.
Yeah, definitely. So I did my A-levels in 2020. That was like the first batch that got affected by COVID, and I got like really good results. I was island 12th in maths, but I didn't really like think beyond Sri Lanka at that point. Then I was I was a senior prefect at my school after that. Then Abid Smile, he was like one of my best friends, and he was part of the prefects council as well. Then at that point, I think he got into Princeton already, and he was talking to me about like try to apply to like foreign universities. Then I think at that time you guys started TSN. Then I had a few chats with I think I had a chat with you, Ravi. Then you guys selected like I think 10 people for the first cohort. I was part of that, and I think TS. So I didn't end up going to a US university but I applied to a lot of US universities, and I think at that time TSN was like pretty much focused on US universities, but we had like Tirandi, who was from NUS. She gave like tips on applying to NUS and everything. And Sunirigiri, I had like a lot of conversations with him. He read through my essays. He gave like really good comments. And I think that's another thing. Like it's just not uh, TSN mentoring you. You like get to know the other person as well. I got to know Sunirigiri like really well. Yeah, I think it was a pretty fun experience altogether.
Yeah, I mean, it was in the middle of COVID too, so that was
Yeah,
just
yeah,
yeah, I mean, it was quite the experience, honestly, and we were all like 15 of us were like part of it, and
yeah, yeah.
couldn't be more grateful. And like what you said, it was so true. Like it's mentoring is definitely a two-way street. I like there's so much that I learn from every person like I have a relationship with, and like it's like especially with strivers, like it feels so rewarding to get to know like so many cool people who are doing really cool things. And that's kind of like part of our vision, like anyway. Um, so yeah, you mentioned that you applied to universities in the US, although you didn't end up choosing to
Yeah.
go to the US. Would you say that like you still gained something from it, just because it was such a like time consuming and you needed a lot of that process?
Yeah, I think definitely because I there was like definitely transferable skills. So I was working on a lot on my essays. I think back then there was no chat GPT also. So you had to like write it by your own. And I think when I was writing personal statements for like NUS, NTU, those universities also, there was like things that I brought from those essays. I think other than that, uh, I think going through that process is also a kind of good experience. Because SATs, for example, I was pretty good with maths, but like the English part, I think it's known to be a bit hard. I got like a 1480, I think. I got like 800 for maths, 680 for English. Uh, I think that is also, I sort of like hard challenges, I guess. So it was like trying to get better at it after A level, so I didn't have like many things to do. That was fun. But yeah, I think there's like a lot of transferable skills from applying to US universities that you can bring to like other parts. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, for me, like up until like start writing my applications, I had never really wrote about myself or like even like knew that like, like yeah, creative nonfiction wasn't which just wasn't like a skill that was imparted,
Yeah.
in public schools in Sri Lanka, right?
Yeah.
And so it was very like something about it was very unique for sure, like that experience. And I to this day, I mean, like kind of the reason that we started the Strivers Network was to like make it a little bit less complicated in the but you do gain a lot from it. So okay, so you get into NUS, and you're on campus. How was like your first year? Like what, like social life, like academics?
Yeah, I think NUS is like kind of different to US universities now that I've been here and like experienced that as well. I think NUS, I think 99% of the students are from Asia. Uh, but I think they also have like somewhat liberal arts system. Like you have to take modules about design thinking, then Singapore studies, then traditional Chinese medicine or something. You can like choose those modules. Then I even took a module called consumption habits that then they go through like how they build malls so they can keep people inside the malls for like a longer period of time. uh, that's academic wise. I think they also have a very good diversity, and uh, so I did computer engineering. uh, so it's a bit of software and hardware, and I think their resources are really good. They have like really good professors, really good research labs. So that part I explored as well. Then other than that, I was part of, I think it's not in the first year, but like after that, I I spent 3 months in Vietnam. That was like a program from NUS where I interned at a Vietnam company. I think that was like one of the best highlights of my NUS life, even though it's like technically outside of NUS. But like that's the opportunity I got from NUS. I spent my first year summer in Vietnam, I, like living in a different country. I think even in NUS, you just live in your dorm room. Uh, that compared to that, the experience where you go to a new country, you try to find a place, you try to find a rental place for a 3 months period, then they don't speak English in Vietnam that much. Then again, you take Grab bikes. So Grab is like the equivalent of Uber in Sri Lanka. So you have to take Grab because it's cheaper. You take a Grab bike, motorcycle to work every day and back. That's then you travel a lot in Vietnam. I think that was like, and I think that experience totally like changed my life in a way. I got to discover myself. I I think my values have changed. Um, and yeah, I think it was like a really good experience for me. After that, um, I think so at NUS they have like different startup uh, programs where they give you funding. Those are like grants, so there's no strings attached. You just have to show this is how you spend the money. And especially because I was really interested in startups, I wanted to do something by my like of my own. I applied to a grant program and I got like $10,000 for a project, and now it's been like a year on that project. I've open sourced the project, and like yeah, there's some people using it. So that also comes from NUS where they have those kind of programs where they try to support people who want to do their own things. And even the current program, I'm spending a year outside of NUS, and I can map everything to my course credits. Uh, I'm not sure that like I don't think in Sri Lanka most of the universities they have that much flexibility and the programs like that. And I think yeah, those are some. good things about Singapore, good things about NUS that I like.
Yeah, you touched on like so many interesting things there.
Yeah.
Firstly about um firstly like I'm really curious to like know like what was your project that you got the grant
Yeah.
for the
That project, so it started with AI powered Google Forms. The idea was like Google Forms, they're static, they have a question, then you give the answer, then that's it. But if it was like actual interview, like what we are having right now, you can ask follow-up questions. So the idea was maybe in addition to that main question, you can get AI to generate a follow-up question based on your answer, then so you can get more deeper insights. After a while, I worked on it. Then voice AI became a thing. So the voices were like really human like. Then I pivoted to AI powered voice hiring interviews. Then I had like 4 or 5 companies using it. I used the same platform to hire 2 interns. Then I think lifetime there has been like more than 600 candidates coming into our platform, doing a 10-minute, 15-minute first round interview with us. That's like that's actually impact, and you can like see the tangible impact on the numbers. So really glad how the project went, and it's all because like NUS decided to give me money, just try this out and see how it works.
Yeah, no, I can like kind of sense like the joy you've had like and I can totally relate to the feeling of like having created something and like seeing the direct impact of that. And I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
I definitely know what you mean. And like that's something that I'm like reconciling as well. Like I really like because for my career, I want to avoid like feeling like I'm just a cog in the machine. So I mean I would
Definitely.
love to work for a startup or I would like to build a startup of my own, but like mine is a bit more like focused on social impact. But I completely like, I can sense the passion. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this
congratulations
is what
on
you're doing with TSN also, right? I mean,
yeah, I mean
yeah.
that and like kind of like just seeing the different phases and like seeing how it scales, and it's been such a process. But and so just to backtrack just a bit more for the viewers who are like kind of wondering more about like the academic programs at NUS. Can we go deeper into like the comparison between US, for example? For example, if you know halfway through your degree, or let's say a 1 or 2 semesters in to your computer engineering degree, what if you realize that computer engineering was not for you? What are your options for transferring, for example?
Uh, yeah, definitely. I think I have a few friends who have like changed their majors multiple times also. They don't really advertise that, but if you email the department, you can just change the major. And I think they sometimes have like quotas, like with this major, they have like a 200% quota. If that has been exceeded, then maybe not. But most of the times you have the flexibility if you email the people. If yeah, so you have to take action, but they don't really advertise that. So I haven't seen them explicitly saying, okay, if you don't like it, you can change. But I know people who have definitely changed majors. Yeah.
So I mean, in a practical sense, it isn't as like starkly different than like the US, but like
Mm.
as you can see, like the
Uh,
philosophy of it might be different in terms of like the focus
mhm.
on specialization. Can do you kind of sense that?
I think it's not flexible as US. I don't think you can like switch from engineering to like business, for example. That's like a huge jump. I think within the departments you can switch. And I know people who switch from data science to engineering. I think if they're like kind of related, you can switch, but not from business to engineering. I think they do that in the selection process, so they have some things happening there. Yeah,
Yeah, and they have like their own, I mean, the NUS college, I think they have
yeah,
their
yeah.
own arts thing going on there. So yeah, that's cool. And so for the viewers, uh there used to be a college called Yale NUS. I think this is their final graduation,
Yes. Yeah.
25.
Yeah.
But there is a sort of successor to it, which is NUS's own college. But yeah, that's just an aside. So let's talk about how you ended up at Stanford and the module that you took.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's the same program I went to Vietnam with. So they call this NUS overseas colleges. So they have like summer programs, they have 6 month programs, they have 1 year programs. And I think that's some people they apply to NUS just for this program. So you can like spend a year in the US. So the application process, I think it's definitely tough. I haven't met any Sri Lankans who have been on any of these programs before. So I try to like ask around for like tips, but I couldn't find anyone. Uh, but I think there's stiff competition when it comes to like US cities because it's not really easy to come. And even after I got in, I was like kind of scared of the because of the Sri Lankan passport. Like, would I get visa or not? Uh, then I think they select like in our batch, there's like 20 students from Singapore, and we just work in different startups while taking a course from Stanford. And we had like some other NUS courses sort of things. Like those are like fluff modules just to like transfer the credits to you. Uh, yeah, then like they select 20 students, then we have to go through company interviews separately. So I interviewed for like 4 or 5 startups. So each startup might have like 3 or 4 interviews. Then they give you an offer. You can choose to accept or like decline. So I accepted the offer from this company called Tiny Fish. Uh, we are we are building AI web agents. So if you have seen OpenAI operator, so you can just tell go and book this flight, it will do it. So we are working on something like that. I think I really like the startup experience I'm getting here because I'm directly reporting to 2 engineers who work 12 years each at Meta. So they're like really cracked engineers. Uh, uh, the way that they think, the way that they solve problems is like crazy to like. I'm trying to like take their brain and like see how they go by these things. Uh, Other than that, Stanford, I took a course last semester. It was entrepreneurship related. Uh, I really enjoyed it, but I think the things like it was pass fail module, so I didn't really like put that much effort also. But I really enjoyed the guest speakers. They were like working at really good startups here. I think Stanford they have like this affiliation with Silicon Valley in a way. So most of the really good founders they are from Stanford, and they can like easily bring those people to like speak about in their normal classes. Yeah, Stanford is like really fun. Yeah, and I'm still continuing to work at the startup. So because the program now there's 8 months in, I had like 4 months left in the program, so I'm continuing to work at the startup.
Nice. And so at this startup, like, did you get like a look into like the business side of things, like VC, for example, or was this like strictly like a technical role?
It's a technical role, but the program that I'm in, it's also entrepreneurship related. So they want us to talk with the founders. And I've had a few conversations with the founder how he went by raising the. So our company, I think we have raised like $15 million so far. So the founder he just shares, okay, this is how I raised the first round, and this is the pitch deck I used. This is the demo I used. Then after that, we had this much traction, so we showed this and got the Series A round. So I think they're like very transparent about it, and not just the internship. I think being in San Francisco area, you can learn a lot about different things because every day there's this famous app called Luma, so you can see what are the events happening in San Francisco. So you can just I've been to a lot of events, I've been to a lot of hackathons, and you can meet like really interesting people. So I went for a humanoid robotics hackathon recently, and one of my teammates, he had exited the $1 billion company before. Uh, so like you can find like really interesting people. You don't even know what they have done. And the other thing is like huge imposter syndrome. So when you go there, you feel like you have done nothing because everyone here is like so talented and they have like achieved a lot of things, and you feel like, okay, I need to like level up. I need to do something more and yeah, be better. I think that motivates you also in a way. So it pushes you to do better things, to solve harder problems, not just like try to do something like normal. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, like, just hearing your experience, that's kind of the reason why, like, we do the work that we do. It's because, like, there is a marked difference, like a huge difference in terms
Yeah.
of like networking and experience. Like
Sure.
you were the way you were describing, like, the fact that like you get to know what it takes to, get Series A funding of $15 million. That's huge.
Yeah.
And so for the viewers who might be interested in entrepreneurship, can you just do a quick rundown of what Series A versus B versus C, what that
Yeah, yeah,
is?
definitely. I think so. This like funding is not really popular in Sri Lanka. I think most of the people they try to bootstrap. So bootstrapping is putting your own money and trying to start your business. But I think in US, Silicon Valley especially, there's a lot of investors willing to take a risk
Yeah,
if you're capable and if your idea is pretty good and if you have a good team. Uh, so usually most of the companies they start with the seed round. Seed is
yeah.
like uh, just it's like a huge bet. So there's no traction at all. The investors can't see anything. They're just betting on the team and the idea.
Mhm.
And one so series A, series B, that's when you have some traction. You can see you can show revenue. You have a product. You might or might not have reached product market fit, but Series A, Series B, it's when you have some traction, and those investors they are taking a somewhat smaller risk than the
Mhm.
seed investors because seed sometimes I think most of the startups they go bust after the seed round. Sometimes if they can't show value, if they can't build a product that has value, they just stop the company.
Mhm.
Then the investors would lose all the money,
Yeah.
and that's a higher risk. Because of that, I think they are getting a bigger part of the pie. So they are getting more equity of the company, but Series A, Series B, lesser equity. Again, the risk is less as well.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I was just, yeah, I mean, it's I mean the way that venture capital works, I don't know, I can't remember exactly what the model is called or whatever, but I think like their strategy is to like is such that 9 out of 10 investments are going to fail, and like
Yeah, yeah,
we are
yeah.
looking for the one like diamond in the
That's
rough,
true.
right? Yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, cool, really cool stuff. And okay, just back to like the comparisons with like Stanford versus like NUS. I mean, more about like what your plans are after this internship and after graduating.
Mhm.
Will you be working in Singapore or
Uh, so I'm going back to Singapore in this July,
yeah,
and I'm trying to graduate in one semester if possible. I have to like I think I have to like email some people and try to do a few modules earlier, but I'm trying to do that. Then after that, I don't think I want to stay in Singapore because I think having stayed here for a while in San Francisco, seeing the startup culture, seeing the grind everyone's doing, I think I try to stay as closer to San Francisco as possible. So that might be with my own startup, or I'll try to like come back here to work. But I think even in my company, we are like working on building state of the art products. So we are not we are using like state of the art large language models, and we are like trying to build a really good user experience. And I think this AI wave, I try to like catch it. I try to like build something of my own. If that fails, I just try to like work at a startup because I don't think I'd be satisfied working at like big tech because even in my company when sometimes when projects are going slow, like I try to like ask my like my senior engineers like why are we not doing this, why are not I think I like the speed and working around people who are like who has agency, urgency. I think I really like to like work fast. So big tech is not my thing, to be honest. So startups, I yeah start either work for a startup or uh, start something of my own. That's the plan for now. Not Singapore, yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. Chasing that adrenaline rush. Um,
Yes.
but I mean, I've heard that Singapore is not too shabby of a place in
Mhm.
terms of startup culture, right? I know that like I mean I was working at Hatch for one summer, and like I know that a lot of startups in Sri Lanka kind of base in Singapore or something like that.
Yes.
But yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I think Singapore, they have a lot of support from the government. So like like I think if you have like a co-founder who's Singaporean and if they have like X amount of equity, they even the government would like put $50,000 for the startup, like no strings attached. And again, you can like hire Singaporeans as interns, then the government would pay the salaries. I think there's like a lot of support schemes. But again, I think nothing can be compared to the culture here. I think I went for a startup event and they're building like robots. So there's like 8 employees. They are staying in the same house. That's their office. They are building robots in their garage. There's another garage with like all the 3D printers. So they just work like I think they even work like Saturdays, Sundays. There's like they don't have like a proper work hours. But I think that culture is like really interesting, and I try to do that when I'm young and when I have like the energy to do it, I guess.
Nice, nice. So okay, so something that I know about Singapore is that they have something that is called the tuition grant.
Yeah.
Do you care to like explain what that is and how
Yes.
whether you plan to use it or
Yeah. So I think most of the Sri Lankans who get in, they get the tuition grant, including me. And they have a few full scholarships. I think for those you don't really have to apply. They just consider you during the application process. And sometimes I think I haven't actually met in Sri Lankans who got the like there's like scholar like NUS merit scholarship or something. The tuition grant is very common, and I think most of the Sri Lankans get it. And I think one thing I noticed is like a lot of Sri Lankans actually get accepted to NUS, and most of the people they like end up not coming to NUS. Because like I was doing TA for a module, and I had access for a uh, for the like student list of a certain module. Then I saw like six Sri Lankan names. But like I got to know like only one person ended up coming to NUS. I think it's relatively easy to apply because the application is shorter as well. Again, coming back to the tuition grant. So tuition grant, they give you, I think around 60% of the tuition fee, they cover it. The the idea is you have to work for 3 years in Singapore. Uh, it can be a Singapore entity outside of Singapore, but I think the basic idea is like you have to give back to the country. They will cover 60% of your tuition fee. For that, you have to like serve the country for like 3 years. And I think there's like different ways to go past it. Like maybe if you do your own startup, they consider that as contributing to Singapore. I think there's like a few ways like that, but in general, yeah, you have to like work for 3 years for a Singapore entity.
yeah, so sorry about that. My internet is a bit iffy. Yeah, I always thought it was a very interesting kind of policy, or like just the
Mhm.
fact that there's a bond, and I think it's cool that they give the option as well whether or not to
Yeah,
take
yeah.
it. Um, but yeah, so that's thanks, Suveen, for your time. Really
Yeah, yeah.
enjoyed
Okay.
to know more about you. Do you have any sort of encouraging words for like future scholars?
Yeah, let me think. I think uh, talking to more people and because I didn't really got to know about this like whole overseas application process, or even the fact that you can like apply for undergrad in the States. Like I think I don't know, like you just have to like talk to more people, maybe widen your horizon. But now I think that that's what you're trying to do with PSN as well, right? Like if some person sees this chat and they'll know, like even if they're like in grade 10, they'll know, okay, this is a possibility, so they can sort of work towards that goal. And I think just reach out to people. I think that's one of the main things I can say. I've reached out to a lot of people in the past few years, and especially Sri Lankans. The thing is, like Sri Lankans are really supportive. Like if you, so I think I personally got more than like 10 messages on like LinkedIn from people saying, yeah, I'm gonna apply for NUS. Any tips, like or something?" Then I just like quickly get on a call with them. Uh, I think reaching out to people, like you just have to like find people on LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn is like the most like easiest option to find people, and just text them. I think almost all the Sri Lankans are like really helpful. I think that yeah, that would be my like number one tip.
Nice. And yeah, no, like in my experience too, that's been true. I think mostly because we're like just a tiny island and we have that kind
Yeah,
of
that's true. I think
um
every person is like, so if you meet a Sri Lankan, it's like at least it's like at most 2 or 3 degrees away. So you
yeah,
might have a common
yeah.
friend, or like it's like very funny because
Yeah, no, that's
yeah,
so true. And yeah, you bring up a really good point there about just going out, being like going out there. Like for example, like I like when I was really young, I used to be really, really shy. And so if you think you're like an introvert and that's the reason why you're not, no, that's not true. That's a different thing. Being introverted is more about like where you get your energy from.
mhm.
This is more about like having just kind of like just having that thirst for like more,
Yeah,
for
yeah,
like knowledge, for experience. Just keep having that. And that's something unfortunately that I feel personally that education system kind of thwarts,
yeah, yeah,
um focuses more on like rote learning than like anything else. But yeah, thanks, Suveen.
yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
wonderful
I think
catching
I
up.
can agree on that. Yeah, I can
Yeah, no,
definitely agree on that. Yeah,
yeah, as someone who like not only was in the local syllabus but like excelled in it, like you can, yeah, I'm sure have more insight on that as
yeah,
well.
yeah,
But yeah, thanks, Suveen. Best of luck with the rest of the internship,
yeah,
and thanks everyone for joining.
yeah. Thanks, Ravi. Thanks for having me. See ya.
Yeah, see you.